So I waited 2 weeks to make a post this time because we haven't been getting much done. Last week we had a lot of really bad weather. Um, this week I got some work done. My health, I don't know if I've mentioned it, is touch and go. So it's been go more than, well, it's been touchy more than go. That's it. It's been more touch than go. We do have one panel up, and I managed to put in the rest of the screws for that. It turns out that if you use the right drill, it's a lot easier. And I'm hoping this week to cut the rest of the panels and get them up, because getting them up isn't hard, but cutting them kind of scares me because I'm afraid I'll go all haywire and crooked, and I wanted Dan to do it, and he didn't get it done on the weekend, so we've found somebody to help us with the welding. That's, there's a lot of metal work to do on a bus like this, and you may not necessarily have to do it all with welding, like bolt things on, but metalwork is neither of our strong suit. I'm a painter, he's a flooring installer. We're both handy, good at the, home renovation, and we can both run some wiring, and, he even knows how to put in a breaker box. But when it comes down to metalworking, that's our short suit. So an old friend of mine has graciously offered to come and help us with that, and he's in need of work, so we'll also be able to shoot him some income, help bridge the gap. So, win-win. He won't charge us more than we can afford, and we'll help him cover his costs. So what all did we get done on the bus this week? Well, I scrubbed it. I was up on the top with a broom. This camera let me down, I'm afraid, because I scrubbed the top, and then I went round, and I think I got some video of that. I'm not sure. I haven't checked yet. And scrubbed along the side walls and gave another scrub to the lower part. So the dirt and the mold are scrubbed off, and next comes climbing up there with a sanding pole. A sanding pole is a long pole with a sanding block on the end, and it's got it's connected in such a way that it can flip every which way you want. And when you get the hang of it, you can do some pretty big areas pretty quick using the sanding pole. So I'll be taking a sanding pole to the bus next, because I really have taken care of, well, in all of these little areas you see where there's all the yellow spots, I have to go back over them because the pressure washer peeled a lot more of the paint off, and you have to sand all of the edges between the old paint and the new paint to smooth it out, or it's going to be these obvious ridges, and they're going to flake off again. So that and sanding with the sanding pole will be on my list, as well as getting some more panels up on the windows. So, I got a futon frame on Facebook. It's one of those tube steel jackknife couches, And we've already got a futon, and we were going to rebuild the bed that's on. It's made out of wood and stuff, but now we don't have to. We could just use the futon frame. Just bring it in, put the futon on, bam, we've got instant single to double bed that also doubles as a couch. So I'm getting that one from Nomadic Fanatic. He goes all the time. I watch so many of his videos, I'm picking it up. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, I like it. So, what else? What else happened this week? Oh, gee whiz. A whole heck of a lot. I gotta remember to go check for more paint, because I've got a pile of used paint already, but I need to get more. Oh, and I also found out, my favorite paint shop that gives me wholesale, because I'm a painter, has a beautiful elastomeric coating for the roof. So I'm going to be spending the money for that. I think that a good solid white coat of waterproof, tough material on the roof I think it's important. I think it's important because it fills cracks, I think, and stops leaks, and because the white reflects off the sun and stops the heat, and it's a thick enough paint that minimally it will add some insulation. So we've got that. And there's also, they have a liquid that they say is non-toxic, environmentally safe, and converts rust. Didn't say what it converts it into, but basically you just grind off all the lumpy bumpy stuff, you paint this liquid on, and then it soaks in and the rust no longer needs to be removed and no longer continues to grow. Sounds good to me. Then you paint over it. And no, it's not a Home Depot thing. It's coming from Cloverdale Paints. And I've worked with Cloverdale Paints for my whole life. They're the reason I got into house painting, because I started painting apartments that I was living in that were really cheap, and they saw me coming in because I'd paint an apartment and then I'd find a better place and then I'd go in and I'd paint it. And so I'm always going in there getting paint, and they're like, well, if you're a painter, you can get wholesale. And I'm like, if I could get wholesale, I could be a painter. And I started doing more and more and more until I was painting for money for strangers, and people liked my work. I enjoyed doing it. I think that's one of the clues, if the work you do gives you pleasure, then you're going to do a better job of it. And therefore, you're going to do a good enough job to be a professional, to be able to please people, to satisfy them. So, anyway, I had to get inside and edit all this footage together. And I'd give you a tour, but there's nothing to see. So I'm going to go gather all my footage together, edit this together, and try and produce something that's watchable.
Well, I'm going to record it with